Hi, my name is Mary Masako Axial, and this is April 8th, and I'm going to be naming off the axial and appendicular skeleton parts for my video. So we're going to start with the anterior skull, and I'll be using a pen and my finger because it's going to be kind of hard to reach into all those different areas. Anyway, so we're going to start with the frontal bone, which is right here on the skeleton. We have the sphenoid bone, which is inside the eye. We also have the ethmoid bone, which is kind of right next to that. And it's also right here. And then we have the lacrimal bone, which is right here. We have the nasal bone, which is this part right here of the slope part of the skeleton, where the nose is, the nose bridge starts. And we have the vomer bone, just about right there. We have the maxilla, the zygomatic bone, and we have the mandible. Okay, so that is the anterior skull. Now I'm going to go to the posterior skull. We have the parietal bone up here. We have the occipital bone here. We have the temporal bone, which is right here. And we have the mandible, which is right there. Okay, and that's the posterior skull. Then we're going to turn to the lateral skull. And I'm trying to get it to go darker there. Okay, so again we have the parietal bone back here. We have the frontal bone here. We have the ethmoid bone, which is in here, and the lacrimal bone, which is right next to it. We also have the nasal bone here. We have the maxilla, mandible, the zygomatic bone, which sticks out right here, and the temporal bone is the one I think I missed. I already said the occipital bone is back here. Okay, so that's the lateral skull. And we're going to go into the inferior skull, which is the floor of the cranial cavity. And I'll be facing it like this. Okay, so in here we have the frontal bone right here. We have the ethmoid bone right there. Ethmoid bone right here. The sphenoid bone is here. The temporal bone is here. The parietal bone here. And occipital bone is back here. Okay. And now we will move on to the vertebral column. The atlas of the vertebral column is right here. The axis is here. And the first 7 vertebrae are the cervical vertebrae. And the next 12 vertebrae are the thoracic vertebrae. So there. And then these last 5 vertebrae are the lumbar vertebrae. Then down here you'll find the sacrum, and at the end of the sacrum is the coccyx. Okay? Sorry, I don't know why I can't talk. Then we're going to go on to the thoracic cage. Okay. This part right here is the manubrium of the sternum. These are the true ribs. The true ribs are attached to the sternum as well as this is the body of the sternum, by the way, as well as the spine. The false ribs are here, see here until here, and some of the false ribs are floating, which are these 2 here, and some are just attached to the bottom of the true ribs. So these are the false ribs. And the floating ribs again are here, and they are part of the false ribs. Okay, so that is the thoracic cage. Now we are going to go on to the appendicular skeleton, and we will start with the pectoral girdle and the upper limbs. This is the clavicle, and this is the scapula back here, this bone. This is the humerus, and this is the radius and the ulna. Okay. Now we're going to move on to the wrist and the hand. And I know you asked for the left hand, so I'm going to try to do that. All right. These are the phalanges. These are the metacarpals right here. Sorry, they're very close to the main part of the hand. Phalanges, metacarpals here. Okay, now here we go. The sesamoid is right here at the thumb. It's these like two little bones that are right there. Then we're going to go on to the trapezium, the trapezoid, the scaphoid, the lunate, the triquetrum, the pisiform, the capitate, which is in the middle, and the hamate. And I don't know if you can even see that. Hopefully that was clear. Anyway, those are the wrist and the hand bones. Now we're going to move on to the pelvic girdle and lower limbs. And this is the ilium. This is the pubic bone. This is the ischium, the femur. And this is the fibula. This is the tibia. Okay, and this is the pelvic girdle and the lower limbs. Moving on to the ankle and the foot. I'm going to put the skeleton over my shoulder. Okay, so the calcaneus is right here. I hope I made that clear on my lab, but it's hard to get a picture with the calcaneus and the top of the foot. So the talus is in here, and the navicular is in the very top. The cuboid is on the side. The lateral cuneiform is next to the cuboid. The medial cuneiform is next to that. The intermediate cuneiform is next to that on the other side of the foot. These are the metatarsals here. And then these are the phalanges. Okay, I hope that was clear. It's kind of hard to see all that. We're moving on now to the surface markings of the skeleton. So I will go ahead and put this back on. And I did that right. Okay, the first surface marking is the lambdoid suture. Sorry, the lambdoid suture. And the mastoid process, which is back here. I hope you can see that. And from the lateral skull, we have the external acoustic meatus, which is here, where the ear is. We have the mandibular ramus, which is here. And then we have the mental foramen, which is right about here for the mental nerve to go through that little hole. All right, then on the posterior of the skeleton, we have the spine of the scapula here. We have the head of the humerus. We have the iliac crest. And we have the greater trochanter of the femur. We have the gluteal tuberosity, which is right here, gluteal tuberosity. The medial epicondyle of the humerus is here. And I'm sorry, it's here. And the lateral epicondyle of humerus is here. The adductor of tubercle is here. And I'll say that one more time so it's not too confusing. Lateral epicondyle of humerus, medial epicondyle of humerus, and we have the adductor tubercle right here. Okay. And then the anterior of the skeleton, we have the intertubercular sulcus of the humerus, and that is right here. It's like this indention or this ridge. It's a groove on the humerus bone. I don't know if you can see that. And then we have the iliac fossa, which is on the concave part of the iliac, or ilium, I should say. So this is the iliac fossa. Okay, and I think that's it. Thank you so much. I know it was long, but I wanted to make sure I said it correctly, and I tried to repeat the ones that I didn't think I did say correctly. Anyway, thank you.